We're here to talk about some recent testing that we did for the Live, Perform, Compete program. Last week, our last training cycle concluded and we tested 5 things across the Live, Perform and Compete training groups. Now, we made it clear at the start of the training cycle that at the end of the training block, we were going to be testing some specific things. Those things were a power clean 1 rep max, a front squat 3 rep to a 5 rep, depending on which group you are, a deadlift 3 to 5 rep max, a strict press 3 to 5 rep max, a strict handstand push-up, and a strict pull-up capacity test. Now, these are some training priorities that we picked out at the start of this rebuild season. The way that programming works for those in the sport of CrossFit, or those who are using the CrossFit modality to train for health, which is our Live program, we essentially pick anywhere between 4 to 6 training priorities. We spend anywhere between 4 to 12 weeks working on those things, and it's really important that we collect some data at the end of it. The data allows us to know whether or not the training program was actually successful in achieving the desired stimulus of the program. What we do then is once we've taken those training or those testing results, we then create averages within our 3 training groups, the Live, Perform and Compete training group. From those averages, it tells us a lot of information about the males and females within that group. We've been doing this now for 6 years, and what we're seeing is that the averages every year are improving drastically from what we saw in the previous years. And this year, this testing block that we just did for these 5 to 6 movements are no exception. We've seen some huge improvements. Before we dig into the actual testing results, what we then do after seeing those testing results is we simply put those results into the 1,000 other movements within the sport of CrossFit and decide what are the next training priorities for the next training cycle. Of course, we have an eventual goal that we're trying to get to. For the Perform Compete program, is trying to peak them for the CrossFit Open, which means every bit of data that we collect in the year is being compared to the data that we get from the CrossFit Open. Are we at the right place right now? Do we need to spend more time doing this? Do we need to spend less time doing this in order to, when the CrossFit Open arrives, be at our physical best? And of course, with the group training program, it's all about averages. We're taking the average of the male and female within each training group and basically building a training design to address their priorities. So let's dig into the results from the last training phase. Remember, we have 3 training groups. We'll start with the Live, move into Perform, and then move into Compete. For the power clean, the average male power clean is 74 kilograms. Average female power clean is 48. Perform, the average male power clean is 95 kilograms. Average female power clean 62. And in our Compete group, the average male power clean is a whopping 120 kilograms, 74 for females. So what we take from that, number one, aside from the Compete group, the Live and Perform groups have a pretty much bang on 70% weighting of male to female. Now, based on CrossFit standards, that's kind of where we want our males and females to be. However, when we look at our Compete program, we have a much bigger spread there. Our females in general need to work on improving absolute strength speed in the power clean moving forward. We then look at the front squat numbers. For our Live program, we tested a 5 rep max. The reason being, the training age of those in Live program is a little bit younger. They've been less exposed to weight training, which means that they can't elicit really heavy loads. Their nervous system just simply isn't developed enough yet. So we tested a 5 rep max for them and a 3 rep max for our Perform and Compete group. For the Live program, an average male front squat of 73, female 52. Again, a beautiful 70% weighting there. The Perform program, 99 kilograms as a male, average 3RM, 68 for the female. Again, another perfect ratio of 70%. And then going to our Compete program, 126 kilograms for males and 80 kilograms. Again, priority there is going to be driving up our Compete program absolute strength in the front squat. The rest of our training groups are fairly balanced there. We then look at the deadlift. The deadlift we tested, again, a 3 rep max for the Perform and Compete, 5 rep max for our Live program. The averages for our Live program for males is 122 kilograms for 5 repetitions and 77 kilograms for our females. Priority there is that our males generally at the hinging movement in the Live program are stronger than our females based on that 70% ratio. For the Perform program, 3 rep max, average male was 145. Average female was 98. Then we look at the Compete. Our average male deadlift for 3 rep max was 160, for our females 120. Now, especially looking at Perform and Compete groups here, we know that those 2 groups are training for the CrossFit Open based upon averages of what you need to excel at stage 1 and stage 2 of the CrossFit Open. Our numbers are not where they need to be. We do have 9 months to go now, but we're definitely going to need to prioritize deadlifting absolute strength. And we're basically comparing this number not only to the the statistics of the sport and what we get from the things like the CrossFit Open, but I'm also comparing it to their front squat. They're actually currently squatting more, relatively speaking, to their deadlift, which means we have a hinging priority relative to a squatting priority. We then look at the strict press, so basically a 3 RM and 5 RM overhead. Really surprised and blown away with these numbers in our Live program. 4 rep max, men were hitting 50 kilograms, ladies 30 kilograms. In the Perform program, the 3 rep max for males, 65 kilograms. 2 rep max for males, 65 kilograms and 38 for females. Definite highlight there is that female overhead absolute strength is poor in the Perform program. We're definitely gonna have to prioritize that. And then looking at our Compete program, 73 kilograms for a 2 rep max was the average for the Compete athlete and 43 for the female. Again, highlighting the need for overhead pressing absolute strength. We're going to move into our last set of tests for this training block. We tested some gymnastic capacity tests. When we're talking about capacity, we're talking about the amount of work that can be done within a specific time frame. We picked a 5-minute time frame here, and we tested 2 things for the Perform and Compete program: a 5-minute strict handstand push-up AMRAP and a 5-minute strict pronated pull-up AMRAP. Technically speaking, those give us a pretty good indication if we have a vertical pulling or a vertical pressing priority. For our Live program, they're not peaking for the sport of CrossFit. Those guys are just prepping for life, and we think the pull-up is a really important skill and adaptation capacity that one must have to thrive at life. And for them, we also tested the pull-up. For ladies, they were doing a supinated test, men a pronated test. Some amazing results here for our Live program. For Live program, the average male score was 26 pull-ups in 5 minutes, and these were strict pull-ups. Average female score was 15 strict pull-ups within a 5-minute window. That, just compared to previous years of testing this, is amazing. It's the goal of all of us in the Live program to be able to perform strict pull-ups. That's why it's going to be an integral part of the Live program forever and ever. Now, our Perform and Compete, we're really looking at ratios here. Do we need to prioritize more strict handstand push-up work, or do we need to prioritize more strict pull-up work? Of course, going back to this point in the season, we really want to focus on driving up strict relative strength. So we're not really spending that much time doing kipping work right now. We're putting the time into cultivating strict absolute strength and strict capacity, so that when we get into kipping work later in the season, we're going to be able to express more capacity there. So looking at our Perform males, the average male strict handstand push-up was 36 reps inside 5 minutes. For females, and their pull-up, was 38. So pretty much a perfect balance there. When we look at the females, 25 strict handstand push-ups was the average, which is awesome, and 24 strict pull-ups was average. So again, pretty even ratios between pushing and pulling. Lastly, our Compete program. The males' average score was 42 strict handstand push-ups in 5 minutes, 45 strict pull-ups within 5 minutes. And then we look at our Compete. Now, we had a couple of outliers here who achieved some really, really high scores, but the average female strict handstand push-up, taken a little bit out of context because of those outliers, 57 reps inside 5 minutes and 40 strict pull-ups. So generally speaking, we're pretty balanced with regards to those 2 things. So what we're going to be doing in this next training cycle, we're going to be retesting strict handstand push-up and strict pull-up capacity at the end of this next 8-week block. But we're giving our athletes the choice of doing strict handstand push-ups or strict pull-ups based on which one is more of a priority based upon their testing results. Just to kind of close us off, it's really important that testing, I think, should be incorporated into any training program, whether you're catering to an individual who's just training for life, or of course you're preparing someone to compete within a sport. It gives you some real life metrics and data in which you can then use to make accurate, informed decisions. Without that kind of data, we're just guessing. And if you're just guessing, the likelihood is the accuracy of your program is just not going to be where you want it to be. With that said, to really maximize the benefits of getting good quality data, is that you have to inform your athletes and your subscribers that you're going to do some testing. So by making some clear definitions as to what the goals of this next training cycle are, people can then buy into that and know exactly why certain exercises, certain reps, certain time frames are being prescribed in the program, because it's leading them to a goal. They know exactly what that thing is going to be. Of course, this is something we do with all the programs here at the Process Programming. Well done to everyone who contributed to their testing. Well done to everyone who recorded their scores. That is an absolute must within the Process Programming. And we look forward to doing more testing in 8 to 12 weeks' time.